This is Jawook, and Bro has unlocked the power of the clap note by bonding with the one and only Light Rizgami. He might look like a normal weak boy, but let's just say he got that best power in anime where he can make anything happen just by writing down someone's name. Anyways, little Bro screwed up as he successfully used the powers of the book on his neighbor, but he didn't realize the target's memory does not get wiped after. So now he has to live with the consequence of doing a drive-by Chick-fil-A run with his spicy nuggets on her neighbor's milkshake, while causing his neighbor to remember everything forever. However, it finally dawned on him that the book actually works perfectly, so now his face lights up as he's about to continue the great villain arc in all of anime. Now fast forward to the next day while our boy is being chilling on his porch. He ends up seeing Yumi causing him to run down as fast as he can so he can catch up to her. Unfortunately, things are different now as she's been trying to avoid him due to remembering what occurred the night before, where she's unable to fathom what happened due to some brain fog preventing her to fully understand. Regardless, our boy is totally clueless and unable to take any obvious hints to hearts, so he still tries his hardest to gank her and say hello. However, she continues ignoring him and instantly runs into her apartment while slamming the door behind her so she's able to avoid the surprise gank like a true pro. As such, Jawook is left feeling lonely and face palms, thinking that he ruined the one relationship that was always good to him because he wanted to be a supreme sussy backup for just one night. Nonetheless, during the night, he runs over to the nearby park to sit at the swing he always does when he waits for Yura, but even his only friend doesn't show up as he gets ditched for Clash Night on Valorant. And so he goes home totally defeated, even though he's now the strongest man on the planet with his newfound powers. But the only thing the clap note does is slowly corrupt him. He's then left feeling restless as his banana tree plantation is not gaining any new visitors, so if his head starts to hurt due to the enormous hurdle he must now overcome, but he just tries to sleep it off. Luckily for our boy, though, he ends up encountering Yumi the next day with her dragon plate skirt equipped, so boss music starts to play as he knows he can use the book to its full effect again. And so Jawook goes on the attack and begs Yumi for a chance to talk to her, but she swiftly takes up a defensive stance to prevent him from Ferrari peeking under the legendary plate skirts. However, our bro is now a menace to society, so he crosses over her formidable defensive stance and forces a turnover by successfully lifting up her basket and proceeding to take a peek. His face then says it all as the dude actually feels a little bit enthralled by the sudden adrenaline rush and happily tells himself mission complete. And instead of just explaining himself, he barges past Ummi and runs off into his room to make contact with his legendary power, but we can all see he's getting even more corrupted by the day. Upon making it inside his room, he begins looking like a studious student, but don't be fooled. This is the look of a beta male having to resort to otherworldly powers as he always wanted to be a Chad. But of course, he's a fake one. He then instantly starts writing an essay about his greatest anime fantasy to build on a world where Light Rizgami keeps whispering in his ear to keep going. After finishing his study notes in world record time, he stands up and slams the book while claiming that his chances of his powers working today has a really high chance due to him being able to see the whole thing, so he has high hopes for today. Shortly after, he creepily gets out of his room and starts standing outside his porch like the Slender Man, waiting to see if his mystical powers are about to take effect. But as time slowly passes, our boy gets a little bit nervous as he starts thinking he learned the I-verse and cross over for no reason, and now Yumi will forever remember him as the biggest sussy boy ever. Now, me personally, I would have already reported this guy to Riot Games as he's already ruined one game and he needs to get banned for taking the crown from Light. Nevertheless, he continues to stand in front of door until his hopes and dreams get fulfilled as Yumi actually shows up looking like she's ready to charge like a bull. But much to his surprise, she wasn't here to make sure his banana tree plantation matured and blow fresh banana chunks into the sky. Instead, she shows our boy how she ranked first in the slap championships by connecting a perfect blow. Mere seconds later, she looks like she regretted the Chad decision to show him his place, so she starts apologizing like a true Canadian. Suddenly, Jawook shrugs off the epic slap and proceeds to start dancing the tango with Ummi, which successfully led both of them inside his house. Upon entering inside the room, our boy actually tries to apologize, but this time he gets interrupted by an aggressive Yumi, so she sternly questions him about his weird actions and asks why on earth would he ever do such a thing in public or to anyone at all. But bro only gets flustered and replies by saying he missed her, so the bro really looks like he got some wild psychopathic tendencies thanks to the powerful clap note. Shortly after, he combos his crazy boyfriend look into the instant peck, where Yumi actually reciprocates his abilities but pulls away when she sees the esteemed Jawook Titanic stick out in the open ocean. Now with his banana tree plantation fully grown, he hopes for the best as he wants the banana tree watered by Yumi's fountain. So he asks if she's willing to go on a second cruise. A tremendous silence then ensues as the beta male stares on awkwardly, But Yumi says nothing while she actually ponders on whether or not she should give him another romantic chance. Eventually, the powers of the book take effect, so our boy begins to lay down, just so he's ready for his headache to finally go away, just in time for Yumi to showcase her Titanic breaching abilities, but she says the fresh papayas are off limit. And just like a hazy fantasy dream, she proceeds by channeling her innate natural talent, but tells our boy to promise her he needs to forget everything after. And so the rest was history as Yumi fell for the trap of accidentally encountering a wild Pokemon named Jawook, and of course he tested the limits of his powers since Broads is savage. Now with the most sussy anime book lending its legendary powers to our boy, Jawook kept going like Thomas the Train, and he even became a music prodigy named Mozart, leading to a massive water fountain leak. Jawook then continued his endless attacks on Umi's court, leaving the Lakers down 3-0. But then our boy realizes he can't stop the siege until the Lakers reverse sweep the Nuggets to cement the legacy of the squad. Anyways, Bro even sprinkled in some upside-down tremendous devouring of his favorite Choco Brownie Extreme Blizzard from Dairy Queen, but he's so lucky that he ain't lactose. In the end, Jawook's attack upon the walls of Yumi led to constant shockwaves hitting his bedroom, causing all his belongings to start falling off the shelves nearby, and even his brand new MacBook fell to the floor. We might as well call up the ghost of Mori to tell everyone that every time Yumi says this is the last time, then the lie detector clearly determined it was a lie. Regardless, fast forward to the end of the romantic video game where Jawook is the main villain. He ends up putting his full suit of armor back on in another room and stares at the book that has given him corrupted powers. Whilst busy complaining that he wants the third cruise to start, it finally dawns on him that he can technically call the captain to start the next voyage, as he just saw underneath her basket literally a second ago. As such, he pulls over a small chair next to his table and begins to cosplay a student getting ready to study for their entrance college exam due in a couple weeks. Jawook then calls himself a genius, so he actually starts furiously channeling his inner fantasy recap writing skills as he becomes more bold with what he wants. After finishing his short story, Yumi timely leaves the other room, so our boy instantly boxes her out for the offensive rebound, but he fails to grab the attention of the basketballs. As such, Yumi expertly sidesteps his skill shot and tells Jawook that it's already time for her to leave as playtime is now over. Unfortunately for our goddess though, Bro's determination to score a hole-in-one at his second golf course of the day is through the roof, so he confidently tells Yumi he isn't finished being a sussy baka. This time, however, Yumi claps back and tells our boy that she actually meant it when she said it was the last time they would ever go on a cruise across the Atlantic. She then instantly teleported to the nearest airport, as North America will lose their chance to get another spot for the Valorant Tokyo Masters, but Jawook keeps trying to explain how much he wants to visit her aquarium. Unfortunately for our boy, she spells out N-O slowly, and upon finishing putting on her shoes, she opens the door and leaves the premises. She then slams the door behind her, but Jawook is left behind totally speechless and confused, as he thought he had a 100% mission completion chance due to him seeing the entirety of her basket seconds before. And so still absolutely bewildered, he rushes back to his table to study for the most important Sussy Beka exam just so he can appease Lord Pervy Sage. But then he discovered his mistake. After frivolously studying the book like never before in his life, our boy learns that he messed up by missing an important rule stating that there's a 30-minute cooldown before he can use his powers again on the same target. As such, Jawook begins to yell whilst totally hating himself for not looking through all the rules beforehand, so now he's lost the prime opportunity for 2 hole-in-ones. Regardless, he decides to leave the book alone for the time being and tells himself it's time for a nice nap for a chad like himself. Fast forward to the evening, our boy finishes his nap and heads straight for the playground just so he could clear his head while waiting for Yura. As he waits for his only friend, he starts having a conscience and begins to think about his actions, leading to him trying to convince himself to stop being a sussy baka. Now with his corruption levels slowly subsiding as fresh air seeped into his brain, he starts remembering the nice things Umi used to do for him before he became a student of the dark arts, so he starts blaming his mistakes on the book. Nonetheless, after finishing up using his brain, he gets up from the swing totally convinced that he no longer will dip his toes on sussy jutsu just so he could get his farming skills up. Unfortunately for the world, right before he left the area, Yura finally arrives looking totally like his favorite Whopper meal from Burger King, so he's instantly flustered at the sight of his friend. Shortly after, the two sit back down on the swings as Yura is quite worried that her friend is looking all down and about like a lost puppy, so she attempts to cheer him up. However, the first things out of his mouth and into the conversation is Jawook talking about how different Yura looks today, so he actually starts complimenting her for the first time. Jawook then learns that the only reason she looks all dressed up like a doll today is because it's Friday and everyone else at work always dresses up on Friday, as they all want to sing the song by Rebecca Black. Nevertheless, like a true friend who really cares for him, She whips out her card and tells our boy to buy anything to drink as it's on her. Without any hesitation, Jawook gladly accepts the offer and instantly comes back with Diet Mountain Dew, but the only thing he could think of it how beautiful his only friend looks tonight.